And I was shown how anger is one of the most suppressed energies in the body. All anger stems from this unconscious fear
Yep.
of something,
Yep.
fear of being you, fear of being free, fear of being loved or seen or
It's the worthiness conversation that is the truest epidemic on the planet. The shame, the unworthiness, because the more that I grow and stretch and expand and evolve, the more the ego wants to hold on tight, right? And infuse my life with fear, which then shows up in this, what I would call acute sacred rage.
sacred rage. I just
Yeah.
absolutely love that. Rage is allowed, anger is allowed. I think what gets so complicated around it, and the question people always ask is, well, how do you express it? Because anger typically is expressed as a reaction. So it's an unconscious knee jerk reaction. You don't even realize you have the anger until you've already reacted to it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's ways to allow that anger to be expressed in very
Mm.
healthy ways that isn't about taking it out on other people.
Yeah, beautifully said. This is so much fun to have you back because now I feel like we really are besties, even though you might not know that, but you really could hang out with me and we would have the best time. I would fully see you because I do. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yes, I got inspired by you. Remember, I was asking, you may not remember, but I was like, where'd you get your necklace? And you
Yeah,
told me, and then, oh yeah, I've been wearing it
I
ever
love it.
since.
And we
And
have
we're wearing
green.
green.
I
Yeah.
felt I was like I have to wear, I did a class this morning, an online class, and I was like, I need the color I choose, I need the color to match. Like it was just so important that I had the right color for some reason. And so I was like, green feels really good.
Same, especially that green, that emerald green, which is
Oh,
unobstructed heart, the green rays. It's moving into that energy center of unconditional love, forgiveness, oneness. That's the
oof,
unity timeline that Aaron
oof.
Apke is talking
Oh,
about, that you embody. That's soul embodied right there.
yeah, it is, it is, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
good to
true.
see you. How are you today?
You know what? I feel like that question kind of like just, I'm just so confused. I don't even know how to answer it anymore. I'm like,
Same, same.
wait, I don't even know how I am right now. Like, I'm like, wait, like yesterday I think I was okay yesterday. Today, like, it just seems like everything's constantly changing all the time in terms of like my states of
Yeah,
being and feeling. And uh, literally, you asked that question, and I'm like, I honestly, I'm not exactly sure.
fair,
If I were
fair.
to like drop into like right now, I feel um I was rattled this morning when I woke up. I didn't know
Me
if it was because of the
too.
dream. Yeah, it was
It was so
weird.
heavy. Even I looked at it and
Yeah.
I was like, dang, you should not be in your stories today. But I didn't care. I was like, whatever. I was
Yeah.
like, God, everything's heavy inside.
Yeah. That's how it
Yeah.
felt. I felt like I was heavy. I felt like like a slight bit of like depression,
Mm-hmm.
maybe anxiety, thinking about finances, which I have no reason to think about. It's just that just came into my field.
Mm.
Just like weird, yeah, like heavy, not I wasn't haven't felt that in a little while. So that was just a really like, oh, okay, I'm gonna.
Be with
And my
us.
class I taught was really slow and like so
Mm.
different than how I usually when I teach, I'm like doom 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 doom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was, yeah, it's been
Mm.
interesting today.
Mm. Yeah, I love that you say that. And it's like, wow, everything going slower and it feels like depression, but really it's transformation. And it's like, yeah, you said something the other day in one of your stories or your videos on YouTube. I can't ever track it because I watch so much of what you share. And I'm down to like three people. And honestly, you were all at the big one. I love Kyle Cease, I love Aaron Apke, and I love you. I mean, I love so many others, but like, just that's where
Oh,
the
that's right. You were at the event.
yeah, the big one. I know. I actually had the ticket, but I moved since the last time we talked. I moved to Austin. I'm renting a house. This is not even like my house. Yeah, big move, huge. Yes. Yeah, not because I was scared to stay in California. That was a big, big part for me to move through, but because I actually felt called here because of there's just there's some communities that are emerging that are really moving into the true sovereignty space. And it happens to activate my soul. And I'm like, I would not have chosen it. I do not want it. And this is why I'm here. So there it
Wow.
is. And so that was part of my heaviness this morning. It's like, are we sure, God? It's just like the spiritual courage that I am being asked to embody. It's go time. And so
Oh
you
yeah.
feel that too. Yeah.
100%.
Ugh.
Hundred
Well, you're
percent.
out there, you're doing it. Like you shared, okay, there's a whole bunch of videos, but one of the things that you shared, I think yesterday or recently, it was if it's not authentic, I cannot possibly share it, be there for it in any communication, in any conversation, nothing. And I'm like, welcome to my life. And how do I do that when I'm supposed to be out there being a spiritual teacher, spiritual guide? I'm just being really candid, and all my students and clients watch this, and it's okay because it's like I lead from my authenticity. But what do you do with that when I know that everything is changing, but I have no idea what it is? I'm just walking that path and allowing for it to reveal itself. Makes, of course, yep, you get it. Yeah, this is what you teach. But what do we do when we're like supposed to be out there and leading the way? It's like, shit, I just want to crawl into the covers and
Yeah.
feel.
Or also, like, can I invite my audience into my bedroom with me? Like, is that allowed yet? Are we allowed to be teachers and still show the I don't have my shit together? You know,
Yes.
it's such a
It's a mind fuck, by the way. I'm just going to
it's
say it right now
it's a
because
mind
it
fuck.
messes with me so much.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I really try to break that program apart, which is none of us have our shit together. You only
Mm,
see if you're a teacher, okay, you're not going to show up when you're feeling shitty. You're not going to be like, I'm now feeling shitty and I'm going to just talk to you about that. Like that's just not what teach something, right?
yeah.
And so we have these like deep shit together, and they've been able to manage their life, and they don't get angry, and they know how to be in flow state. And meanwhile, behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
unbeknownst to all of us, it's not always so pretty, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it, to be able to, there's roles that we play, and
Mm.
there's ways in which we do this, but I I think that that is a program that just needs to be torn apart. Like, can we just see the authentic? Like, what do you do when you're arguing with your wife? Like, what does
Yeah.
that look like?
Yeah.
Like, why are those parts not part of? I understand why you're a teacher, so you come here and you do your thing. Be like a doctor coming in and telling me about his. But I believe, like, if you're like out there teaching about these spiritual concepts, bring your fucking authentic A game
Yeah.
and tell me everything. I want to
Mm.
know all of it, like
Me
not
too.
just the pretty concepts of what but like, like
Mm.
how do you teach, how do you do your
Mm.
life?
Mm.
And show me that messy. That's the
Mm-hmm.
authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Authenticity is messy.
Mm-hmm.
It's raw. It's chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of this.
Mm.
And it's also soul. Like
Mm.
there's this piece, there's this thing happening energetically on the planet right now. And I can feel it as if it's like a lot, like it's as if it's just so alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much what you were talking about, which is
Mm.
that soul is starting to come online,
Yeah.
and it's very much like a Christ consciousness. It's what all the masters
Mm.
were able to
Mm.
be. They were able to connect as
Mm.
God, or I call it soul, but it's an aspect of God
Mm-hmm.
in human form, in
Mm-hmm.
physicality, aligned with that divine nature, that divine essence that
Mm.
we are, but still playing the role. And so it's
The role
we
of the human.
the role of the
Yeah.
human.
Mm-hmm.
You're Michelle and I'm Lorie, and you
Mm-hmm.
just got up, you just picked up and moved to Austin because soul called you,
That's right.
because you had some sort of intention, consciously or unconsciously, probably consciously, of stepping into something different, something new, something that lit you up, something that, like, I'm deeper service work, like something was underlying this thing. And soul came in and said, boom, this resonance called you
Yeah.
to Austin, right? And
Yeah.
so it's a
Yes.
blind faith of like, I'm just doing this and I don't know what's
Yeah.
next, and I just keep going.
Hmm.
Um and that's so many of us are going to be kind of pummeled into this. So it's a beautiful, the more you can share about what how life is sort of changing in terms of how you're navigating it,
Mm.
the better, because we're this is like the next kind of phase I'm looking at in terms of the evolution. Is
Yeah.
this coming into a deeper alignment or embodiment,
Mm.
integration,
Mm.
um, with soul. I also think it's why a lot of us are feeling more called to like Jesus and these,
Hmm.
because it's not because of them necessarily, it's because they emanate what it is that is happening
Mm.
to us.
Yeah.
And so it's like this unconscious reflection
Mm. Mm.
of what we're actually going through,
Yeah.
you know?
Beautifully said. I don't know if you recall this. I would be shocked and impressed if you did, but I told you that I had heard you talk about you had listened to Resurrecting Jesus twice. I'm sure more than that by now. I've gone through it 3 times, and I still hear something new, especially around spiritual ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you begin your awakening journey, and just how spiritual ego gets in there and hijacks his
Mhm.
soul,
Yeah.
which I definitely went through that. But that's when I learned that Jesus was my master teacher in this life. And just even saying that out loud in our first conversation felt really bold for me, because there could be people like, who do you think you are? But it turns out people were like, me too,
Mhm.
me too.
Mhm.
And I'm not trying to gauge anyone's authenticity. The more that I embody mine, the more that I can just get the sense of like, is that really where I want to go? Is that really what I want to focus on right now? But that was so powerful for me. And so I want to thank you again and honor you
Mm.
again so deeply, because you introducing that book into my life, I've now introduced it to so many others. And it really speaks to us. But yes, a lot of people are either being drawn into religion because that's their gateway and that's perfect for their journey at this point, or they're being drawn to the mysticism of the teachings and the embodiment of what was really meant. But if maybe that's, I didn't even plan on any questions. I was just like, we're going to drop in wherever we're going to drop in. And for those paying attention, I am wearing the same top as last week, but that's fine. I wanted to be twinsies. I didn't have a chance to change in between these conversations, but can you speak to maybe that too? Because it's so easy to project or to judge why those who were never into religion before, but are now totally devout into Christianity or Catholicism, and or really feeling into Christ consciousness. Like, how are you observing that or experiencing that yourself?
Well, I think it's interesting. My journey has been interesting around it because it was a little over a year ago, where I was in the bathtub and I was like, right when I really started listening to the Ajay Shanti book, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I want to commit the rest of my life to
Mm,
embodying soul, because I knew that's what Jesus did. I knew that he mastered the embodiment of Christ, whatever
mm.
you want to call it,
Christ
God.
and soul, basically the same.
Yeah.
I think I heard you say that. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's the same. I think God and soul is the same. I mean, soul to me
Yeah,
is
yeah.
just an aspect of God that squeezed into the human body, and we label it as soul,
Yeah,
right? It's the one that goes into each incarnation. It's the
yeah.
same soul.
Hmm.
It's just a
Hmm.
squeeze, it's just an aspect of a fraction of spirit, which is a fraction of God.
Yeah,
And
I'm
so,
in resonance.
yeah. So I when I committed to that, I just started watching everything unfold, and I started really connecting to Jesus a lot, and kind of tapping into how he lived and how he experienced the world, and recognized my journey of having to kind of navigate that, and
Mm,
what it means to be soul, and how do I be soul and also have all my human personality traits, and
mm.
what's been happening since Africa, because Africa is what pummeled me
The first or second time, or both, really?
first time.
Hmm.
It's when
Mm.
Jesus came to me, and he's, because I was like, at the airport, and I was stranded and I was freaked out in Nairobi. And I screamed. I was in my head, I was like, Jesus, how did you handle this? Did this stuff happen to you?
Mm,
And it was in that moment
mm,
where I heard him come in. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something around the lines of, I always was in movement. Anything happened to me. I was always in movement. Nothing ever happened as an accident. Everything's happening to you as this gift. And it was very calm and very
Yeah.
embodied and integrated. And it was that
Mm,
moment where I connected to my soul in a way that I never had before. And it was
mm,
like I really truly it was like, holy fuck.
yeah.
And it was from that point on, the
Mm,
last 7 months,
mm,
where I have been feeling a real deep understanding of what it means to and like be soul, even though you're still human. And so it
yeah.
feels very much like, so at first, the question you asked is, why are all these people moving in this direction? And it's
Mm,
because it's happening inside of them. And
mm,
so because we don't understand what's happening inside of us, we are called to what it feels like outside of us. So we know what it feels like. There's this inner knowingness of it
mm.
feels like there's this blind faith, there's this blind trust that I have to hand it over to something bigger than me,
Yes.
that I don't
Yes.
have to hold everything,
Yeah.
that I can trust in life, that all of the ways in which the religion kind of guides people is, and how the mysticism of Jesus and these teachings guide us, is literally what is being called within us. So
Mm,
we don't realize that it's soul
mm,
happening right now as well. And so there's this
mm.
awakening happening on the planet inside of us, because it's all energetic,
Yes.
that's first initially calling us to these religions or to Jesus more and more, right?
Hmm.
To Christ
Yes.
consciousness, because
Mm,
what's actually happening is you as soul are calling you back home, but we
yeah.
don't realize that that's what's happening. And so
Mm,
that pull is to something outside of us that feels just like it,
mm,
until we realize, holy shit, I actually I have to live these states. So the states that we are learning about, that Jesus tells us to do, we have to learn how to now live them, be them.
mm,
And so if you think about like religion, it's
mm,
about handing things over. It's about trusting in something you can't see. It's about knowing that you're God, and not going too deep into some of the context of what they believe, but those overarching things. And to me,
mm.
that's what it's been feeling like. Realign and connect with soul. It's like
Yeah.
that's it. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Beautifully put. Thank you for the way in which you articulated that, because I'm in full resonance with that. And I don't want to be I really don't want to be in judgment about anything, about
yeah,
what's happening in the macro, because what's happening in the micro feels just in moments, if I'm really honest, which I don't know how not to be, is far more evil in moments than anything I could be seeing play out, right? Like, dang, like, and I'm just going to go right here right away because I've got someone who can actually hold me in this energetic, and you'll meet me there and probably take it deeper, and it's the acute emotions, and anger and rage that's been suppressed for so long. You spoke beautifully in an Untangled episode about this. Like, we're seeing this in the collective. It's never been allowed. I was raised on New Age philosophy and those spiritual communities, and not judging that. So grateful for all I learned, the people that I loved in those communities still, but we were taught to bypass that. And then if you were ever a student of, the Hawkins map of consciousness or scale of emotion, you're like, anger is low vibe, never ever dip there. And so we're watching it. We can feel there's something not right. Even those who can't really articulate what it is yet, energetically, we can feel something's really off and kind of dark and whatever else. And amazing light quotient is. So it's very confusing at times, right? And I'm fully aware that I'm blessed and I'm on the journey that I'm meant to be on. And I'm just like, shit, what do I do with all this? And so, not to turn this into a coaching session for me, I imagine that you'll share your own, and you spoke about that. And I was like, okay, this is perfect timing to have you on the show, because I know a lot of people are experiencing this
yeah,
and it's all for us. And I
yeah,
know that, But damn.
Yay!
No.
Yay! It-
Yeah.
it's so crazy because the other day I got this huge awareness of the collective. When I say collective, it's the human collective, all the humans on the planet. And I was shown how anger is one of the most, if not the most suppressed energies in the body. And that
We numb it, we escape it, we bypass it, we drink it, we eat it away,
it's the
right?
worst you could, how could you possibly feel anger? I mean,
Right.
like, don't feel anger. Oh my God. It's just this unconscious judgment we have against this poor little
Uh,
energy called anger. It is so suppressed in our bodies. And God forbid, everyone has anger, but God forbid you should allow that anger to be expressed. And so, if you have an experience that naturally creates a very natural energy that we label as anger, anger is not actually anger.
mm.
It's just an energy that holds a frequency that
Thank you,
creates
thank you, thank you.
experience.
Yes. I think it's
And
the outdated scale of emotion, to be perfectly honest.
those scales, I'm not a big fan of those. And the
Mm-mm.
reason I'm not a big fan is because it creates a judgment.
Yes, a hierarchy.
Yeah. And there
Yeah.
is no soul doesn't see any emotion as
Mm.
less than or better than.
Thank you.
Soul sees everything as like, holy shit.
We're on a roller
What
coaster.
is that one? That's how soul sees it, right? So
Yeah.
say soul doesn't hold that belief system. Soul doesn't hold belief systems. So soul just feels the experience. So what happens when there's an integration of soul and human, you're becoming aware, like, I do all this spiritual
Mm.
awareness stuff. I'm constantly available and open to everything. I let it all in. I feel everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then there's this profound, beautiful awareness, which is just so beautiful, of this anger is like so intense, and I'm giving everything to it to allow it to be here. And there's still these human emotions of, like, I hate you, like that anger, that rage, and to be able to express it knowing that it's not you. So it's like the anger isn't Michelle, the I hate you isn't Michelle, right? Like,
Right.
it is, it's all anger stems from this unconscious fear
Yep.
of something,
Yep.
fear of being you, fear of being fear of being, loved or seen, or, fear of being
Good
awake.
enough. It's good enough. It's the worthiness conversation that is the truest epidemic on the planet, right?
Yep.
The shame, the unworthiness. It's just, I was like, really? You
Yeah.
again? Yeah, but it's like, yeah, because the more that I grow and stretch and expand and evolve, the more the ego wants to hold on tight, right? And infuse my life with fear, which then shows up in this what I would call acute sacred rage.
Oof, I love that. That's such a
Ooh,
beautiful way to, like, sacred rage. I just
yeah.
absolutely love that
Mm,
that energy around it, because it's sacred. And,
mm,
rage is allowed, anger is allowed. I think
yeah,
what gets so complicated around it, and the question people always ask is, well, how do you express it?
right.
Because anger typically is expressed as a reaction. So it's an unconscious knee jerk reaction. You don't even realize you have the anger until you've already reacted to it.
Hmm.
Right. So you've
Hmm.
screamed, or you yelled at someone, or you did something, you responded in a way that, isn't the most appropriate. Um, but there's ways to allow that anger to be expressed in very
Mm,
healthy ways that isn't about taking it out on other people. I think that's one of the reasons there's such a, um, don't do anger, because we never learned how to feel anger a safe way.
yeah.
Um, and so we take it out on other people. And what's going to happen on this planet,
Mm,
already happening more and more, we're going to see this very sneaky and subtle anger arising within us,
mm,
um, based on what the outside world is creating
yeah.
in order to elicit that. Um, and it's a lot of fear, and so there's a lot of anger, and it's going to increase on the planet. The anger is going to, and it's already stored in our bodies.
Yeah.
So the way you did it is beautiful because it gets to be there, and
Hmm.
if it comes again, it's gets
Mm.
to be there, and there's a what a beautiful expression that you gave us just now. And like, yeah, I'll hold space for that. If you screamed, I would have held space for it. Like, all I'm
Mm.
ready for all of it. Like, we need to
Mm.
be able to hold people's experiences on an energetic level, no matter what it is,
Hmm.
and not try to fix it. Why would I ever say like, oh well,
You
you
shouldn't have
know,
that. Yeah.
maybe just think of something positive?
Oh, do you want to think of a little more high vibe,
Yeah,
situation?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that honoring and reflection because I definitely was like, whoa. My biggest thing is because I was listening to I think an untangled of yours last night in preparation for. I was like, what? Because I haven't really been listening to anyone else's content in the last few months. I was so obsessed with you and Aaron and Kyle for the longest time, and I'll still get bits and pieces, and I love it. But like right now, it's like I gotta know what I know, right? And so I'm turning inward and doing a lot of that. But last night I was like, okay, what you been talking about? So I definitely caught up on a few untangles. But one of the things you talked about was how this suppressed rage, just make sure that we're not doing it in front of kids, obviously. And then I immediately thought of like I have fur babies, and Miss Samson is like my little beloved dude, and he's my pup. He's 7 years old, and you would love him. He would love you. He's a little shaman pup. He's incredible. And if I'm like a lot's new here, so a couple times so far, maybe three, I've like just guttural, like in my car getting lost, right? Even though the GPS is like clearly telling me it loops me or I don't follow it right or whatever. It's all so new. So there's just overstimulation happening in many ways. And also just why I'm here and what I've left and death, rebirth, just so much going on in my little human experience. But you spoke about being responsible for anyone that might be in our proximity. And I thought immediately of Samson, and I thought, God, how could I do that? Because I don't want to stifle it. I do not want to suppress it. It's really healthy. There's beautiful
Mhm.
sacred rage rituals that I've even led on retreat, but I was out there with the oak trees and 100 acres and a drum, and it was appropriate to be wide and expansive and free. In a car, with a pup in the back, I might want to just but it's there. So, what do you recommend for those of us who have kids or pets? And it's like, it needs to come through. How do we manage that in the moment?
You know, to each their own right now, because I think more than anything,
Fair.
I mean, honestly, and I was talking about this the other day, I'm like, it's trial and error with anger.
Yeah.
So you have to, as long as there's an awareness, right? Because anger can't be perfected. It can't, it's too powerful. So there has to first just be the awareness of, oh my God, I didn't even realize I was angry. I just exploded,
Yeah.
and now I exploded in front of my children or my husband or my friends. And okay, great awareness. Then the next time it comes, there's a different awareness, maybe the next 10 times, but whatever, or the next 5 times, but there's an
Yeah.
awareness of like, I have to get this out. So then you scream and it's like, it needs to come out. Then there can be a couple more times where there's the awareness of like, oh, I can feel the anger. It's coming. The anger is about to come. Now I know that what I did last time. So there's this, as the
Yeah.
anger is rising, there's also the awareness of like, okay, I have a choice, right, of how to express it. And what I've noticed is the more awareness I have with the anger, how I express it, what feels good when I express it, what feels, maybe next time not do it that way.
Hmm.
That stranger didn't need you to like roll your eyes at them and like huff and puff past them and almost hit their shoulder. Like you could have probably done that a lot better. So it's like trial and error. And then what I've been noticing lately is I express it through like, getting like yelling it out loud as I'm walking, or I'll express it in the shower, having conversations like
Mm.
myself. I'll get on the phone and just throw it out to my mom for an hour.
Mm.
and just so I think it just depends on what it feels like to us in our body,
Mm-hmm.
what the body, how the body wants it to come out,
Mm-hmm.
and just having the awareness of who's around and maybe next time try to do it a little differently. Like, but I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way with anger. I think it's just a building up of skill sets of how to express it where it's not hindering or hurting someone else.
Yeah, fair and beautifully put. And, when I think about little Sam, my pup, he's so sensitive and intuitive and kind. And honestly, like, he's my spirit dog. We've traveled many, many lives together, and I'm blessed by him. I know he's not my partner. Let's be
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
It's a really sacred contract.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, he doesn't need to hold that because he will. And then it will literally express in his body as physical symptoms. It's really remarkable to watch the energetics and how we need to be more responsible while not suppressing. So I love what you just shared. Okay, I learned because it's happened a few times, as I mentioned, but I noticed that it was coming on in about April, right around what was that thing on April 8th? Remember way back where everyone was coming to Texas?
The the solar eclipse.
Eclipse. Yeah. Whoo. April 8th, 2024. I'm getting the chills. From that moment on, something shifted you two, where all of a sudden I would like be on the toilet, just go and pee and like, and I'm like, whoa, what is happening? Or re-recording an intro for a podcast 7 times, and like it was not good enough. And like, ooh, the self-criticism and the self-obsession was so on and up. And then I would scream again. I'm like, dang, what? But I can track it to that moment.
Mm,
And so I'm excited by this because I think, and you can let me know if this resonates or whatever you would add to it. It feels like I'm creating more spaciousness in the human
mhm,
for all kinds of emotions to have a way to express, because I truly do not even believe I know that everything in my experience is seeking resolution with the divine,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Everything, my purpose of being here on this planet at this time, with all that's going on, I chose it. I wanted
mhm,
to be here, and I still want to be here. I'm here for it, whatever it might be. And so I'm here to now be in a deeper, more authentic version of myself, which is to allow for whatever wants to come through this body known as Michelle in this incarnation. But it seems to be pinpointed if I look back, and maybe I'm off and this is not correct, but like it was around the eclipse because I closed all my blinds and all the curtains. I wasn't out there trying to look at it for whatever reason. I felt like I was supposed to turn inward. I wasn't scared of it. I was just like, all right. And it did feel kind of creepy and weird. And the energetics were very interesting, mainly from what I was picking up in the collective. I felt
mhm,
like everything else was just kind of doing what it does, right? It was just like the energetic of the collective. It was so loaded. And so
mhm.
from that moment on, I just feel like that's been a part of my experience. Does that make sense or
100 billion
okay?
percent. Yeah,
Mm,
I love how you said it. You're making more space,
yeah.
uh, you know, in order for the human part of you to be able to just allow for everything to come and go.
Yeah.
Everything's just going to come and go. And so it feels more spacious, like it's almost like an expansion when you start just allowing more because
Mm,
it's like it's more of that flow state, that like
mm,
that expansiveness or making space is more of just like, oh, it's our natural way of being, and it's what
yeah.
actually increases the frequency because in the body, because it's if you can just allow that rage to come in when it's coming in, especially if something as beautiful as the podcast isn't perfect enough, right? And so it's something as ridiculous, and I know what you're talking about because when you're creating in that way, and it's just so frustrating, but it's
Mm,
so ridiculous, but it allows for that energy to come out. So it's like, oh, this is how it's going to be expressed. Thank you, podcast,
yeah.
editing. Um,
Mm,
and every moment like that is just
mm,
an opportunity of practicing how to just allow what
mm,
is in its
mhm.
like humble purity of like, damn, this doesn't feel good, or look at that judgment I have, or like
Yeah.
all of that. The
Mm,
judgment gets to be there, the feeling gets to be there. Like that's the spaciousness that we're creating where
mhm.
judgment dissolves. Well,
Mhm.
so judgment
Yeah.
gets to be there until judgment isn't there anymore. And until then, it gets to be there. It's not like I got to figure out how to stop judging. No, judgment is just there. And then through the awareness that judgment is here, judgment starts to dissolve. And so it's everything's happening,
Mm,
like you were saying, everything just is happening for us in this beautiful way
mm,
to bring us into that divine state that's quite natural. We don't have
mm,
to be these like, enlightened humans. It's our natural state. It's what we're naturally being pummeled into it through that rage that arises, that anger that comes up,
mhm,
um, the voice that says, I hate you. That's
mm,
just another opportunity to learn how to be in that more expansive flow state through awareness
mm.
of like, wow, look at that voice. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Because you're allowing it.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Yeah. It's like a catalyst integration. And I know
Yeah.
Aaron also speaks about Aaron, your friend, my friend now too, because we're kind of neighbors.
You're in the same town.
Yeah, and we're learning some cool things together. I'm part of a small community that he's a part of too, so I'm grateful for that. And anyway, but speaking to what you just said, what was kind of coming through for me was like, oh wait, hold up. If I'm allowing for more spaciousness for everything to arise, that also that also includes this deep devotion to God and soul and Jesus. And I've never experienced also more love and more compassion and more empathy. Honestly, like for almost everything and everyone in ways where I'm like, whoa, that version of me showing up in the world now, like she's soft, she's sovereign, she's kind, she listens through her heart, and I was so plagued with ego and self-obsession, and it still can be definitely in moments, right? But like wow, what's leading this path
Mm.
now is so soul embodied. So who am I as human to judge how this all plays out and unfold, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so if the light quotient also, right, is this deep remembrance and I'm allowing for that, then of course I've got to allow for all the other. It's the shadow light dance.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so beautiful because it's
Mm,
exactly what's happening because as the anger gets to be there, why are we allowing soul and that heart-centered love and all of that to be there? But then if anger comes up, we're not letting that be there.
that's
Like,
bad, right?
yeah, like that doesn't make any sense.
You're not embodied, really, if you're still
No.
experiencing anger, much less talking about it. Why would you ever
Right.
tell anyone about that?
Right. Right. So the more you embody soul, or the more that you are following in the footsteps of this amazing man that was able to do it back
Mhm.
then
Mm,
at such a young age,
I
I mean,
know.
born into it, right? Like
Mm,
then the more that we are following that, the more we have to then step up to the plate. The rubber hits the road. It's like, oh, so this means that I have to allow for all of this. This means that there
yeah.
is no judgment around an emotion. This
Mm,
means that I do have to trust in the blind, the unknown that I can't
mm,
see. This does mean that
mm,
I have to be humble to, humble to life,
mm,
humble to how this reality works. Jesus was so humble to the atrocities and to the things that just were not okay, the governmental systems, the way, but he was also completely aware of breaking those systems down. So he would sit and have dinners with those that you're not supposed, the sinners, right?
mhm,
Why are you're such an enlightened human? Why would you sit with the sinners? It's like really breaking all of that,
mm,
breaking out of all of that. And the
mm,
only way to do that is that you have to allow for everything. If you're still judging certain emotions or certain thoughts or certain
mm,
behaviors, then you're still trying to be in control, which is this little egoic programmed mind computer that says, nope, it looks like this, it looks like this, it's supposed to be like this, it's a hierarchy, it's this, everybody told me this. That's why you're being called to not listen anymore to anybody, because it's actually your soul calling you inward to its authentic expression more and more.
yeah.
And that's how you can find like the purest. Listen, everything that's happening on the planet right now,
I love how you whispered that.
it's designed, it's designed to pull us out of our most empowered state, which is
Totally.
connected to soul. So
Yeah.
let's just distract them let's continue to distract them. Let's continue to create all these ridiculous staged storylines and all
Yep.
of this so that we can just perpetuate these really disempowered states.
Mm.
Jesus saw all of this kind of stuff play out, maybe not in the absolute clown show that it is now, but he
Well, the
saw it
internet didn't
all.
exist back then.
Right. Right. But it's like it's the same type of thing. So what I'm experiencing, which I'm coming back to what you were saying, is this the beauty of life, which is wow, I'm feeling so much more. I've never felt more joy in my life. I've never felt more ease, more
Yes.
calm, more
Yes.
trust, more excitement. And simultaneously, I also am feeling the anger, that the irritability is off the charts for me right now. Holy cow, irritability. Um,
About
uh,
what?
it doesn't even matter. There's no,
Just everything. Everything and
everything,
everyone. Just irritable. I love it.
I don't, yeah, everything ev what the underlying sort of foundation of the irritability for me is I've dealt with this most of my life, so I'm very familiar with this irritability, but it's
Mm.
very difficult for me, something I'm working on, but it's hard for me to watch such unconsciousness play
Yeah.
out. It's really, really
Mm.
difficult.
Mm.
Again, I've done it since I was 12, 13. So I know what it feels like. I know how to do it, but it's what makes it more difficult right now is back then, like in 9/11, when nobody and their grandmother believed what I was saying. At least I was like, well, I'm all alone and I just am going to be the one that stands out. And
Be the
I,
weirdo.
yeah, and
Mm.
everybody's just asleep and that's okay.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
at this point, there's so many people that are waking up to it and getting caught and going back.
Yeah.
And so it's more difficult for me right now to watch it. I don't know how to. I've had a long talk with my mom because I was like,
Mm.
I need help. Like I'm literally like I'm not good. I got to figure
Mm.
out like how to not let it really get me. Um, and so I've just not been watching anything to be honest. I've just turned everything off and just stay focused
Yeah.
on what's happening in here,
Yeah.
you know, and and finding my joy.
Yeah.
Where's the joy? And just
Yeah.
focusing on the joy.
Mm.
And
Mm.
and that's really been helping a lot.
Mm, the
Um,
information detox. I've heard you talk about that, and it's so important. The other night I was going to sleep, and definitely some past life stuff showed up right away, and the third eye just boom open, and it was just like a whole tribe. And I know it's part of the path that I'm on, and I'll share about that another time. The sovereignty space and the melanated people and the original custodians of this sacred land that we know as the U.S. corporation, right? All of that stuff, which I'm sure you're familiar with it. But then the next piece was it was almost like I was at the front of a Star Wars or Star Trek ship. I never really followed either of those shows or movies or whatever, and I'm sure I'm going to get a little bit of feedback on that. But and you know how like comets and rocks and other planets or whatever is like coming at like fast, fast, fast. I just remember that galaxy moment, or maybe it's the opening credits of one of those films. I'm sorry, I don't remember. And it was like
it
that
was
is
Star
all. It
Wars.
was Star Wars. Thanks. Yeah, it
Ah,
feels like that way. But it was showing me that that's the informational overload that we are all right experiencing. And it's also it was double. It was more than just information. It was also the EMFs, the EMPs. It was like we're being blasted constantly. And so we talked about this 7 months ago, but you had just come back from Africa and lion energy, which obviously is now your whole thing, especially this year. And it was like that fierce soul reclamation. And it's so important to stand guard at the door of our minds right now and to be fully conscious to the unconscious behaviors and addictions, obsessions with just mindlessly picking up the phone, like before we're even eyes open. Like, so it was just like this. And that's when I realized, like, no wonder I'm experiencing all these really intense emotion because I'm just allowing all of what's in the collective to come into my field. And
mhm,
so I can still allow for all of it, not judge it, but I can shield, right,
mhm,
healthily,
mhm,
cosmically,
mhm.
spiritually, so that I don't have to take it in, but I can radiate all the love, all the pure joy out. Is
Mhm.
this anything that you're experiencing? Like, right,
Yeah.
because it's a tricky time, man.
Yeah, I got full body goosebumps. Yeah, I mean,
Mm,
it's a true actual spiritual battle, right? It's
yep.
really is an energetic battle. It's an energy battle. And what I've been noticing more and more, and I'm very careful now what I talk about because I do my best to not elicit any fear
Good.
because um and many times I won't speak about things that I know because
Hmm.
I cannot elicit fear. It's too much right now
Much.
on the
Yes.
planet
Yes.
that to me, I weigh it out and I'm like, you know what? This information isn't that important
Mm-mm.
to elicit any sort of fear right now in the human body
Hmm.
because we are so inundated by fear of the EMFs, fear of the shit that's actually happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't get out of it. And so it's like we have to be so clear on what we're consuming,
Mm.
not just with, you know, the how much EMF you have around you and the food you're taking in, but way more than that at this point right now in the game is what you are consuming.
Yep.
It is so tricky because you'll take it on and the next thing you know, you feel like a piece of shit and you're never going to be successful or you all of a sudden
Mm.
you have thoughts about lack. Where's lack coming from? Like,
Hmm.
these are all things that we are consuming inward,
Yeah.
right? Because as we become, what's happening is our bodies are becoming more energetic
Hmm.
naturally. And
Hmm.
so when you become more energetic, what naturally starts to happen is we are going to not emotionally feel, but we're going to feel energetically more of what is coming in. So we're not as numb, we're not as
Yes.
shut off or quiet or dumbed down. So we actually are feeling, we're receiving, we're
Hmm.
experiencing it. But because we don't know how to juggle that, process that, deal with it, it feels like it's us. It
Hmm.
feels like there's something wrong with us. We've got issues, we've got problems, and it's disempowering.
Mm.
And so we have to recognize no, 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 no. This is the body turning on more and more, getting more energetic. This is about what you are literally consuming is
Hmm.
going in.
Hmm.
You're like you would consume a salad and you want really,
Absorbing it. Absolutely.
yeah. And
Yep.
so really, because I don't think people quite understand yet the ramifications of what they're actually listening to. And
Hmm.
because we're so numb to it, we've been
Mm.
programmed, right? That
Mm.
we think it's just knowledge and information. And they frame it that way. Like, oh, you
No.
just need more knowledge and more information and more this and more that. It's very detrimental to our systems right now.
Mm.
In such
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah, no wonder so many people that I know are experiencing physical pain for the first time, maybe in their life, as I had mentioned earlier. And I know that you talked about, like, gosh, anyone else having like, well, you actually said no, in the collective, there's excruciating pain that's coming on for a lot of people. And I'd love for you to expand on that because I feel like this is part of that conversation and then why we need an outlet for, sacred rage and all of these emotions that we've never even known were fully there. But it's like we're just, I don't, it's, yeah, it can be very overwhelming. I know though that we have every bit of capacity to be with it, to integrate it, and to rise beyond it, expand beyond it, right? For sure. That's the mission that we're on. But at the same time, there's some practical ways in which to, like, ooh, how do we really, uh, well, I'll say it my way,
Mhm.
honor the body wisdom, honor the physical symptoms that clearly the body's saying, like, or what is stored. Like, for example, a couple nights ago, I hobbled my way into a yin class at night here in Austin. Maybe you've been. Third Eye Lounge, an amazing spot. If you ever do come to Austin, please let me take you there. It's such a
Mhm.
yummy, beautiful space and gongs, and it's just
Oof.
it's a womb,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and there's been some potent energy in there over the years, so it's really built up of just like, wow, it's a sacred space. And I felt at the moment that I walked in, kind of hobbled, and I've never had physical pain in my life. I've been very, very fortunate in this life. And my body was just saying, get into that yin. I could barely just do a side twist. I had to have like
Wow.
7 modifications. And the teacher there was amazing, Angelique. If you're watching, thank you, thank you, thank you. And but what I did is I played the observer. And it was very empowering for me because I was like, how would I, if I was Divine Mother right now, playing the observer role, just move my body with such care, right? And just gently move and not be mad at it, not judge it, not criticize it. What's wrong with you? You said something like that, like your body's not out to get you, right? It's
Mhm.
just, it's full of information for you if you're willing to listen. And so
Mhm.
then we were in Shavasana and I couldn't even, not couldn't even, but like at that moment, my body wouldn't even lay straight. And I'd go to yoga for Shavasana. I'll just be real about that. Like I love Shavasana. And I had to have my legs up, like knees in and a couple of bolsters, and it's fine. It was humbling, and that's where I was. And the rain started, so it was very beautiful assistance for this whole moment. Yeah, and that was also helping to shed some of the denser layers.
Wow.
But I asked my body, like, okay, we've just guided you through this class. Like, what do you really want to? What do you want to say? And next thing I know, the Ho'oponopono prayer came over.
Oh,
Ah, and it was, have you ever really just kind of noticed what you just took me through? Leaving California and your mother. I'm close with my mom, like you. Very close. She's my best friend. She has no fear. She's 70, almost seven, and that's there, right? Like I'm no longer
right.
10 minutes away from her and I saw her regularly and I enjoy her company, not
Yeah.
like a lot of people. And also just the drive here. We drove with 4 fur babies in the car and just the fear around being here, but also the knowing that I'm supposed to be here, but not quite why. And and so my body was like, yeah, that's what's happening. There's grief
Mm.
and
Mm.
fear and sadness. And so it's just locked in the hips of your mobility right now. And so it was just, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And I just kept saying it to myself over and over and over again as the tears released some of it. The next day, it was really epic thunder and rainstorms here in Austin, which I love in the summer in these more tropical places. And I was like, wow, even that gentle stretches all day with just candles on. The skies were dark. I'm not really used to that in the state of California. And I was like, even that just allowed me to process and integrate even more thoroughly. It's still there gently, and maybe there'll be more, right? I
Yeah.
want to honor though that. But I was just like, is that also, I mean, I get it. We could be talking about this and we're not even talking about these times, but what there that I just shared, can you speak to what you're picking up on either in your own experience or in the collective that could be useful for our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, it's such a powerful teaching that
Mm.
that your body's offering you.
Mhm. Such humility. Whew.
Yeah. There,
Yeah.
I'm like you. I don't ever get, I've never been in pain. In the last
Mhm.
month and a half, I've been humbled by physical pain,
Interesting.
bad physical pain. So I
Mm.
think that what I was tapping into
Mm.
collectively is that, um, we're no longer going to be able to be immune to what is not only moving through our own bodies, but what's moving through the collective field, and I feel like um, we're becoming more, we're understanding truly how we're designed to be
Mm.
with with the physical body,
Mm.
and we're going to be given opportunities. That's how I
Mm.
see my experience with the pain, is it's
Yeah.
the opportunity to remember how this actually works. And
Mm.
because I see everything as like, okay, everything is gifting me an opportunity to see where we're going in this evolution and how we're designed to actually be in this evolution.
Mm.
So people's bodies are the most precious commodity. Obviously, if it wasn't for the body is also the only thing that processes energy.
Mm.
Right. I mean, the trees process energy, but in terms of our awareness, it's our
Mhm.
body that processes everything.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
our body that holds everything. It's our body
Mm.
that is energetically increasing in frequency without you doing anything.
Mm.
You don't need to do anything and your body will heal. You don't need to do anything and your body's increasing in frequency. You don't have to do anything, and the ways in which you're going to be next are going to be shown to you through the body. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to do anything, and the new ways of being and experiencing the world are going to arise for you,
Mm.
right? So there's this amazing
Yeah.
opportunity if you
Mm.
have physical pain and
Mm.
these types of things. It's not fun. It is there's
Nope.
nothing fun about it, but what's the lens that we are going to start to use
Mm.
around it more and more, you know?
Mm,
It's
yes. It's that
the,
perception that's everything.
yeah, it's the
Mm-hmm.
perception. Are
Mm-hmm.
we going to continue to say that the body is out to get me? The body is bad. The body is wrong. The body's doing something wrong. I need to fix the body. Or am I going to
Mm-hmm.
say, holy shit, this body knows exactly what it's doing. How can I help you?
Yep.
How can I help?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that deep, deep trust, and that the body speaks to you through the soul, which is
Mm.
intuition. The
Mm.
soul and the body are like best fucking friends. They're like
Mhm.
they're like the biggest like Winnie the Pooh, and like they're like the soul knows, like if the body is giving out a signal, it knows like, okay, we're gonna go sit outside, we're gonna drink water, we're going to it knows that the body knows how to do it all,
Mhm.
and so I'm gonna go to yen yoga, that
And
intuition
I
that
never go to classes in the night. It was 8:15. I'm usually like I don't do anything past 4 p.m. like ever. I'm in my PJs and happy about it. I'm a grandma and I've always been that way. I was like, I'm taking myself to an 8:15 class. What? But my body asked for it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like,
I know.
I'm done working at 5. Like I push it to 5, but at 5, I'm like, I can't, nothing happens after 5.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing happens. I'm just done. Like the day is over.
The day is over.
Yeah.
Happily so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like absolutely. But I think people need to recognize that when pain arises, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
when your body, we call it breaking down. Like even that idea that the body's breaking down, um,
Hmm.
where the lens of the body's increasing in frequency, you have no idea. You don't know how it works.
Yeah.
You can't control it. You definitely cannot control this.
Hmm.
Um, and the more that you can recognize that this is just a ride, that the body's going to move things around, shake things around, and if you have a pain in a certain part of your body that that you've injured, well, of course that may arise again. Who knows? But
Hmm.
it's gifting us with the ability to understand how the body was designed to be with us,
Mm.
and that it's this magnificent, miraculous uh, divine design that knows exactly how to do what it needs to do, but it does need our help. If it's like, yo, go get those herbs and put it in my body, or put it in the body, we got to listen to that.
When
You
did
know,
you start listening to your body's wisdom? Do you?
I mean,
Because I'm just beginning to be perfectly honest. Like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to look at real health and what I'm really eating and all of that. Like, I was drinking energy drinks like 2 years ago, like Red Bull, like, or Monster, and at Celsius, like literally 3 months ago. I broke up with Diet Coke 3 months ago. Finally broke up with Diet Coke. I was like, I love Diet Coke. We were besties. It was like the one thing I looked forward to because I quit smoking a year ago. And I was like, ego was like, do I get any fun?
oh my, I hear you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
listen, I think, I mean, I've never been like, I would say that, honest to God, I would say that I started eating like organic-y, probably
Ye.
about really starting to eat organically about 4 years ago, right
Okay.
around before COVID, right before COVID started. I really started to like recognize that like I should be eating organic. Like I was
Mhm.
not on the organic train. I was like, it's all fucked up. I'm just going to eat whatever. So I started to kind of get on the organic train, and then I realized maybe there's something to this, because what I never liked plain in any of that, right? So I always
Mhm.
stayed out of like,
Mhm.
this is bad for you. I was drinking tap water until 4 years ago. My mom would come to my house and she'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
right? Because she lived here for a while and I was drinking tap water. And I'm
I
like,
know
it's
many
tap
people that
water.
still do.
Yeah. Like, it's okay. I'm like, she's like, Lorie, it has this. I'm like, Mom, don't tell me. I'm not playing
Don't
in
tell
that
me. Yep.
story. Yeah. Right. And then eventually, you just start to become aware that maybe it's not the best thing for the body. And then I started realizing, like, oh, there is something really profound happening with the
Hmm.
body on an energetic level. Okay, now I need to really start to pay attention to what I'm putting in it, how I'm treating it.
Yeah.
And then I started to really listen. I mean, I drink coffee, I eat shitty shit. I'm not like the healthiest, but I'm pretty healthy,
Yeah.
I think if people saw what I ate, and what I did, I don't try to be, it's just what happens. And
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not like, oh my God, I have to take care of this vessel and only put in whatever. I don't do that, but it's just the natural. Yeah, if my body wants some cheese, I'll give it some cheese. If it, so I listen more and more to my body
Hmm.
um, than ever before.
Mm.
But I don't judge it. I don't judge what I put in it. I try not to judge it, with the Diet Cokes. It's like, fuck it, you know. I feel like if I focus too much on all the horrific stuff that's out there, it's worse for me than if I just enjoy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did a water fast for the first time.
I heard, and you made it 50 whole hours. I was like, man, I've never been able to go more than about 8 hours. So I was very impressed.
I don't do fasts. I don't
I
do
know. I
fast.
know.
I don't
Yes.
even know how. I'm like, I don't get hungry. I cannot do hunger. And Jesus came in and he was like, you have to do a 3 day. First of all, he's like, you need to do a 5 to 6 day water fast. And I was like, first of all, buddy, you don't know me. I can't not, if I get hungry, we're in trouble.
Hmm.
And he's like, you have to clear out. So there was like some really, really
Mm.
intense energies that were not mine.
Hmm.
That's for another time. But there was something
Wait,
else,
wait, because of a lover?
not a lover.
Mm.
Somebody else did
Okay.
some witchery.
Oh, okay, okay. Black magic. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Ooh, interesting. So you had to clear
yeah.
your vessel so
Well, I
that
didn't
you
realize it
could.
was black magic
Mm.
until after I did the water fast. So I've never
Oh.
wanted to even. I felt so dirty. I felt like I needed to clean my insides
Hmm.
out. I felt like something is clogged, something's not right. And then it was like Jesus is like, you've got to do a water fast. I'm like, buddy, you don't understand who you're talking to. But I knew I needed to do the water fast, and I knew how difficult it was going to be. And
Hmm.
so, but I was so determined to get whatever this was out of my system that I was like, fine,
Hmm.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Hmm.
Um, and I knew when I was doing it that it was important. And, I only lasted 50 hours is a long time,
50
but
hours is a long time. It's like more than 2 full days, 2 days and eight
yeah,
hours. Like
it was a lot.
impressive. Yeah.
But then afterwards is when the aha moment came in of like this like black magic stuff, which I also don't play in. And it's so all
Mm-mm.
these really weird energetic things are coming to my awareness. And it's like, dude, we have got to take care of this thing. Like,
Oh, yes. I love you, body.
energetically.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I know.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Like, what else are you feeling? What else is happening? Like, instead of getting mad at ourselves and judging
Hmm.
ourselves and like saying there
Hmm.
was something wrong and I shouldn't have done this and I shouldn't let this in and I should,
Hmm.
no, it's like, just let your body tell you, we have got to become so much more energetically aware.
Yes.
Like turn that on tenfold
I
right now.
love that. The energetic awareness. It's like, whew, super important, like the mandate of our times. Have you heard the song Body Wisdom by an artist named Savannah? I'll
No,
send
but
it to you. I'll send
okay.
it to you. It's so good. You'll like that when you're out in nature.
Okay.
So beautiful. I know that we are probably getting close to time. Well, we're probably a little bit over. One final thing. Well, actually, no, no final thing unless there's anything that you want to share. Wish you'd been asked. What's coming through that needs to be shared or wants to be expressed?
I mean, I think the most like kind of pressing thing that just keeps arising in my field is that we are in a time right now, and like, if you were to look at like the evolution in human consciousness, and there are certain times and there's certain experiences that we're going to have during those times in terms of the evolution. Like 50 years from now, or 100 years from now, we look back and we're like, oh, during these times, this is what a lot of the humanity was moving into. The
Hmm.
times right now that we're in, we are being moved into or shifted into the deeper embodiment of soul. It's happening, whether you like it, whether you understand it, whether you want it. It's just where the collective is going. And so how it's going to look in your life is that you're going to start living in what I call like counterintuitive ways, kind of, right? It's not counterintuitive. It's just going to feel counterintuitive. Like, I don't normally do this. I don't normally pack up and go to Austin because I felt such a strong calling. I don't even understand it. I can't, right? That's totally counterintuitive to like what you would do, what makes sense. That's soul, right?
My California was my soulmate. I was
Yeah.
like, I got life right. Like, man, I chose right parents for that, you know? Yeah. So, okay, continue.
Yeah.
Cause
But when
yes,
soul calls
fully.
you, you're like, this is what's
Well, it
next.
took 3 years for me to actually honor the call because it was such a process for me. I got the call 3 years ago, but yes, okay, I got the point, and I know a lot of people watching and listening totally have a call that feels counterintuitive.
Or
Follow
just
the
a way of
call.
being, like
Yes.
just there's going to be way you're going to feel like all of a sudden you're going to have to start being more authentic, and that feels
Yeah.
kind of counterintuitive because you're like, well, isn't that being mean, or aren't I supposed to support my best friend, and
Right.
it's like what's authenticity telling you? Like, have you been living in this fantasy world with your friend for this, like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's going to start, there's going to be subtle little ways that are going to be like, it's not just like healing, or like this has nothing to do with trauma.
Mm-hmm.
This is a whole other level that we're walking into that isn't about healing. It's not about trauma. It's not, it is about becoming soul in body, which is going to be very human. It's going to look very human. It's going to look like moving to Austin. It's going to look like going to Africa and starting retreats. It's going to look really weird for a lot of us,
Mm-hmm.
but that it's going to feel not natural, except
Mm-hmm.
that it's our natural state. So as we start trusting the counterintuitiveness, then I don't know, this feels weird. Um, More and more of us are going to jump on board because we're going to realize, oh, this is what people are doing now. In 5 years from now, it'll be more natural, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's anything in your life right now that just it feels like you're being moved into something different.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, and it's going to be faster. It's not going to be 3 years for the person that's now, right?
Yep.
Like,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for
it's
sure.
happening so fast that what we were in 3 years ago, the person in it now, it's going to happen faster.
Yep.
So yeah, anything that anyone is in right now where it's just uncomfortable, rocky, scary,
Mm.
confusing, unsure of, just know that it's soul coming online. It's soul trying to get you to come back to it. Um,
Mm.
and it's
Yeah.
a feeling state,
Mm.
feeling state.
Let me make sure that yeah, energetic awareness. Everything is feeling. Got to feel it to free it, all the things, right? Do you say soul embody, like IN, next word BODY?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard you say that many times that I was like, ooh, how would you spell that? Or soul embodied, right? But it's the same thing. But you keep
Same thing.
saying soul embodied. You've been saying it ever since you came back from Africa the first time. It was a really clear message that you got from Jesus. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is the time to be soul embodied. This is the only reason that we are here. You don't have a soul. You are a soul in a human body, right? And so, yes. And by the way, who isn't experiencing massive chaos in the mind of like, wait, what's what? Everything's inverted. It is a mandate to turn inward and to feel it, to not suppress it, to honor it, and to listen, to deeply listen. And then if you've got your guides, take it to your guides. Like, can you help me vet this one out a little bit?
It's gonna get quieter and quieter.
Yeah.
Like that guidance is gonna get quieter and quieter.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Because it's like we're here, but this is go time for you. You're prepared, you're ready,
Yeah.
your soul and body.
Yeah.
Like, we're I literally have it sometimes happen in my meditations. Oh, I'm getting the full body chills. At my altar, I'll like see all these green lights, and I know they're my ancestors. I know they're my whole team. And
Yeah.
they're for some reason show up in the color green, which is heart for me. It's been a
Yeah.
big theme in this life because it's been really hard to get up to the heart, fully live there and reside there, which I'm not always good at, but like getting better, better, better at it. But yeah, that really resonates. Two follow-up questions. Well, actually three, but they're little. Do you have any insight on what 222 is when you see it, or when, like, I've been seeing it since February and I'm like, why is 222 everywhere. Any insight that can come through on 222? I thought I'd ask.
Is that the angels protecting you? Is that like angel protection?
I don't know. I thought it was around partnership, could be around money.
Oh, maybe it's
Um,
around partnership. I'm so bad at numbers.
okay, then forget it. All
Yeah.
right, fine. I will just continue
It
to
might
let
be
it
though
reveal
because
itself.
it's two. So it's I would trust what comes up for you, which is partnership. It's the first thing you said.
Yeah,
So
but it's partnership, I feel, in ways that we don't really think of partnership. I feel like it's partnership with me and Jesus, to be honest.
okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's
I would
like,
trust that.
and
Yeah.
I don't always go there. So there's that. That's the invitation of this call from me.
And
Yeah.
also just like such an example of like, and I do this every single time I have a session with someone. They always want me to answer the question. And I'm like, well,
Good.
what's coming
Yeah,
up for you?
beautiful. Of course, of course. Very much the same in my guidance as well. So thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned Align 8.0 coming up, and I think that this will come out before that closes registration. I actually was thinking I wanted to join us on your website last night, and it doesn't show the day or time. It's just every day for 21 days. So I just want you to know I didn't see it. Maybe I missed it, but I
It's
didn't
not
see
up
the.
yet.
Oh, okay. Well, there is a little thing on there because your website was redone. I was like, oh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, we're growing up. It looks really good, by the way. It looks really good.
The
Yeah.
growing up.
Okay. So it's gonna start what, August 8th or
Align
something?
8.0 will be up on the website and you got it. Have you done an Align before?
No, but I know that it's calling me, so I want to be there if I
Oh,
can. But I was like,
Align.
what time and date? I know you can watch the
Okay.
replays,
So
but I want to
Align
meet you live.
8.0, I've gotten this huge, I've done seven of them already in the
I
past.
know, and they get better and better.
This one, I'm getting this like massive, full blown, like I am literally going to scream this from the rooftops. Join this freaking thing. It's
Good.
only $59, first
I
of all.
know. So that's
It's
like that's not the
it's
reason
a
why anyone
yeah.
can't join. It
And
could be
so
timing.
it's 21 days.
Yeah. Build a
Okay.
new habit.
Yes. 21 days. Jesus said it's 20, do 21 days. I said, okay, I'll do 21 days. It's every day at 10 a.m. California time.
Okay.
And I talk for
What day
about
of the week do you know?
every day.
Oh, every day of the week at 1 o'clock. Oh my God, that's right. Oh, I'm so doing it. Okay. I can
Every
I can do
single
some, not
day.
all, but whatever. I'll do what I
Yeah.
can
Do
for
as many as
$59.
you
If you
can.
did two a week, you're winning.
Yeah. Do it. But if you can do it every day,
Commit, even if you can't be on the live call, of
yeah, if
course.
you can commit to doing it every day,
Okay.
it's life. This one, for whatever reason, is going to be very life changing. So, yeah, every day for 21 days, August 7th to August 27th, 10 a.m.
Beautiful.
California time, $59. I also do like 3 Q&As in it as
Mm,
well. I just because there's so much juice that arises for people, but
yeah.
it's usually about 30 minutes, 20 minutes of 20 minutes of actual practice. We
Hmm.
sit, we go
Mm,
inward. Sometimes it's just silence for 20 minutes. Sometimes it's awareness practices. Sometimes it's tapping into soul. Sometimes it's a guided meditation from me. But it's all about really like this deep, deep understanding of how to come into like this without doing anything,
yeah.
this really empowered, grounded, aligned,
Mm.
sovereign space without doing what's so magical about it is you do nothing.
Yeah.
You do
Okay. So
nothing.
it's been calling me for a while. There's been lots of reasons why I said I couldn't go in the past. But like
Do
when
this
you
one.
say, I just trust you implicitly. So when you say it's life changing and you've been saying it consistently and you just say it gets better and better and better because the more that you are soul embodied, of course it will. So I will be there and I'm going to invite everyone who feels the call to please join us. It's going to be amazing. And then finally, I also saw that you're potentially leading a retreat in Kenya in February of 25. What's the four?
I'm doing 4 next year.
Okay, so all right, so where do we go for information on that, or to join a wait list, or do you want to speak about that briefly? Do you have time to speak about that? Because
Yeah,
I also feel
yeah.
a call to join you on something like that, and
You
I'm like,
gotta
huh,
come, girl. You gotta come.
yeah.
So February sold out. We only have we have a wait list, not only. We have an amazing wait list.
Hmm.
And so if you're interested in going to Kenya and having another life-changing moment, I'm doing my first retreat's in February and it's sold out, but then we have because it's a really small group. And then we have one in June that we're going to open up, September, and then November. No,
Okay,
end of November. So we'll
okay,
have 3 more. So if anyone is interested and just curious, wanting to get more information, you just need to go onto my website and it'll say Kenya, I think, or Kenya Retreats, and just jump on the mailing list.
okay.
And we just send out an email with the details as we get closer, and then we send out the actual link to get the information and to register.
Okay, beautiful. And we'll link to that in the show notes. But for those of
Yeah.
you who can't wait, it's lorieladd.com, LORIELADD.com. And that's where you will see the link for, I believe it's also called retreats. I saw that and I was like, whoa, I didn't realize you were doing 4 of those. So that's amazing. Thank you for answering that call and for guiding us on this journey with you.
Mm.
Any final words?
No, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
I love Austin. I've been there twice. I went there.
Why
Oh,
don't you come visit? I have a bedroom and a very comfortable bed that you can sleep in.
it's so weird. My girlfriend was just talking about how she wants this Austin. There's a concert that South by Southwest in October.
Come,
Yeah, maybe I'll
come.
come with her.
Yeah, I'm not really a big festival or large crowd kind of gal at all, but I could see myself doing something like that with you. And that will be right before the election. Whew, so things are going to be heated. And this is the perfect place to be for all that because most people could care less or just like, voting.
I know.
It's
I
just so
know.
cool to be around like more like-minded, like-hearted. And granted, there's a high discernment with all things, right? But like, yeah, if you're feeling the call to come here, please come visit. I
Yeah, I
would
would
love to
love
see you.
to.
So, and then I'll send you that song and then we'll just keep this party going. But thank you again for bringing your heart, your wisdom, your soul embodied to Fire and Soul. I love you so much. So grateful for
I
you.
love you. Thanks. It was so fun.